Hey guys, it's Karen Evans. Thanks for joining. I am so excited to do this Pastel Caribbean scene today. I was thinking about the people, obviously, in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Just really wanted to do something. And I did it for a fundraiser. And a fabulous woman, Donna Borgamaki, ended up purchasing it. And we gave it to Jose Andres. Here's what we're going to do first. I just sketched out a simple scene. I just put a seawall about one third up from the bottom. And then I'm going to choose about 8 homes, and let's just put in, I'm using an orangey brown, like a burnt sienna. And we're gonna just start the roofs, and then we're gonna do build up around them to create the homes and the foliage and everything else. So I'm gonna do about 8 and just kind of think of where you'd like them to go across. I'm gonna start from top left to bottom right so that we're kind of creating a hillside look. We're looking from the ocean to the hillside. And then I did 4 brown roofs and 4 orange and spread them around the composition. The orange roofs are going to be white homes and the brown roofs are going to be pastel. So we're kind of painting a negative space. We're using that to build up the homes and their relationship to each other and where they are. So mix up a green, couple of greens. Let's try 3 different shades. So I have a green, and then you can add a little bit of like a yellowy to your green. You can add a little bit of potentially even a little red. We'll talk about that later, but that'll give it a little shadowy green. And then if you have a deeper on your palette, I have sap green, which is awesome. Daniel Smith also makes a color undersea green, which is awesome. If you don't have that, guys, just mix a little brown into your green too. And you will just do different colors. So we're going to make some foliage coming off the top of the hill like that. We'll do some around here. And we're just giving the hint. What I love about watercolors, how loose it is. We're just hinting at foliage, and you absolutely know what it is when this scene is done. It's such a happy little scene in the wake of such a horrific weather week for the Caribbean. But I was really glad to hear that the loss of life was so small compared to what it could have been as of now. We're 3 or 4 days out. I think that's miraculous. Okay, let's add some shadowing. And this is like where the sea wall is around down here. So we'll add a little bit around the seawall, that foliage. And then, guys, we're leaving white space. This is the beauty of watercolor. Leaving the white space gives us so much sort of, it's just, to me, it's just awesome. Talk about it later, but coming from acrylic to this, okay, before I get too excited about the white space, let me tell you what I'm doing with this number 2 brush. Smaller for detail. I'm just giving a hint of some palm trees and just, you can kind of drag the palm fronds down, have them go. I have this kind of rookie little star shape right here, literally a star. But we're just hinting at it's fine. And just have a couple where you have some of your white space. What I was saying about the white space earlier, our eye will fill in that space for you. But what it does in watercolor sort of allows you to find some areas, leave little gaps, create that looser watercolor look. It's unlike any other media. It's so awesome. So we're trying to preserve the space. You'll see me as we go on. I'm gonna try my hardest, but I am still struggling with keeping my white space. You know what? Don't tell anyone, but I keep a little white paint marker nearby in case I get to the end and I just didn't leave enough white space. And by enough, I mean, look at some areas where it would make sense to have little gaps to just kind of not be too overcrowded. Um, and just plan that to stay white. You can also, in some designs, you can do a masking medium, and that will block it off for you. If you're going to create something that has a lot of small little white details, dots on something, little tiny white flowers in a field, something. But for larger areas, we can just leave it. I'm doing a 3 by 3 in case I didn't mention. You guys could be doing a larger one. You can do this as a horizontal, but I've been obsessed with squares lately, so I'm doing it. Okay, after we get all the foliage kind of blocked in, let's do the seawall, like make it a little rocky. So I have a lightish brown. You can use burnt umber or a burnt sienna or whatever brown that you have on your palette. Just water it down a little bit and drag it across, make it a little bumpy, not a straight across line. And we're leaving some gaps in there. We're gonna leave the water um, we're gonna leave a white space. Speaking of white space again, white space is the king of this. We're leaving a little white space between that seawall and the water. We will in a minute, but we want to have it a little interesting. The the line there will just be kind of moving a little bit in and out. Okay, strengthen up a little of your color in the foliage. You can make it go. I'm gonna be careful because that's a house there, so I don't want to go too much up into my house. But we're just kind of defining the hillside along the wall. I'm gonna leave my house and try to leave the white space. Guys, I've been doing really well. I deserve some credit. Okay, here's the exciting. Let's mix up a greenish blue. So I have phthalo blue, which is a little turquoisey blue. I want you to do blue and green if you don't. And we want this to be a fairly thick mix, not as much watered down. And take your brush on its side, the belly, and drag it across, but leave some white. So you're kind of how would I describe it? Skipping it across. So you're just kind of skimming across. So I'm leaving intentionally white again. Do you see a theme here? I'm leaving intentionally some of the white. That's the foam or the caps of the waves. So and see, I left the gap up there, up here, so that that looks like where the waves might be hitting. It just separates it from the land there anyway. That's a good place for a white little gap. So we're just doing this as like our light layer of the sea, and then we're gonna strengthen. Okay, so strengthen this area of the sea by using our original blue green and brushing it across. Again, not super wet, leaving the white areas. So this is our third value. Like we have white, we have our light turquoise, and then we have our darker turquoise. And I'm going to step four. And step four is adding even a little bit more blue and sap green, strengthen it. And I'm doing that in the area that is close to us, the closest to us. We're deepening the sea there and adding some interest. Similarly, we're going to do the sky deep in the top and then a little bit and lighter as it goes to the horizon. It's just an atmospheric and something we see in the landscape. And you can brush it into a couple of areas towards the front too. And then maybe just make a couple of lines that would be under little ripples or rolling waves. Perfect. And we've got a lot going on in this design, so we don't need to be making a lot of drama up here in the sky corner. Let's just do, I have cerulean blue and I'm making it a really wet layer. Um, and trying to avoid the foliage. So take your blue and just wash it down in that area. And while it's wet, we can go in and do one more, a little darker strip across the very top. And then we're darkening it there and then leaving that to kind of blend towards the horizon. Okay, that's looking good. And that's gonna dry a little bit lighter up there. It's fine. It's gonna look really good. And we really didn't need a lot. Okay, are you ready for the excitement? Pick your four pastel colors. I'm gonna start with medium yellow. This is a Hansa yellow medium. And then I have another video that's gonna show how to make vibrant shadows for colors in watercolor. But for right now, let's start with our base layer. I'm going to want a turquoise, my favorite color. And it's going to be similar to the sea color. So, little turquoisey. You could make the one house at the front is going to be lower and wider, and a couple of mine are a little taller. And I planned mine out to be sort of around the white one, so it's a composition is kind of broken up by the colors. And then here's Quin Rose. I use Daniel Smith paints. The Quin Rose is gonna dry like a little light pink. I'm gonna pull some of the color out as well, just so it dries like a really light pink. And I'm gonna do one more coral. You could also do a purple, you could do a green. I think we have so much foliage that I was avoiding it, but if you did bright lemon yellow green, that would be cool. Any color you like. Could do a brighter orange. I'm just doing a corally orange. I have a color Hansa yellow, but you can also mix in a little bit of like a bit of yellow into your red and make a corally orange. And then we are going to, the cool part too, we're gonna add a little bit of shadowing to the left side of our white buildings. And to do that, I mixed just a little bluish shadow with blue and burnt sienna. And then just, again, this is so great. This loose watercolor, just plop in a little line here. Here you go. And you have shadow. We don't have to be obsessed. Just put it in. I'm telling you, this freed me up so much, guys. Drop that in there on the left side of all the homes that are white. And if you squeeze your eyes together, or step back, it really does give you the illusion that these are where I'm having the light source come from the right, that these are really in a, sunny day, which has not been the case for them the last week. I was really so happy to hear though that the loss of life was not nearly what you'd expect after this disaster, but the destruction is pretty major. Okay, now we're mixing our shadows for our pastel home. So I want you to look at the color wheel. You can pull one up. I didn't put it on the screen, but across from the blue we have orange. So I put a little orangey red with my blue. Across from the yellow, you have purple. So into my yellow home color, I put a little bit of purple, and that's giving us a vibrant shadow. I have a whole little mini tutorial on this, a little mini video. Go ahead and check that one out, um, showing you why and how to do this. But the basic is that we don't want black or we don't want just a pre-mixed gray, like a Payne's gray, and just whip that over the top because it's going to dull things. Instead, of have them pop out, not pop out, but stay vibrant and have the color that was originally there and originally in the mix. So it's sort of like the Impressionists back then. They just were such scientists with color. And we're doing the same thing. We're using color and we're using the light and we're trying to with the water, the pigment and the paper, make it as bold and bright as we can. And adding a black is reasonable in some certain cases, but not when you're trying to just darken a shadow for like a pastel. And then for my red, the opposite is a green. So I added in a little green to my pink and made that shadow on the left side. And so while we have the green going, I'm going to darken up some of my foliage here along the bottom and left side. Let's keep in keeping with where the sun is coming. So we're on our second or third, second really, darkness of the foliage. You can add a little bit of yellow or yellow ochre or others, so you're not using the same green everywhere. I'm kind of going a little crazy with the same green everywhere, but you can do a little brown too, a little yellow ochre, just to vary it up. I think that's also what makes a really successful scene painting versus others is just really working on keeping the colors in the same family, but varying the hues and the shades and mixing it up a little, like you see in real life. Okay, let's finish that up with the foliage and let's go ahead and I'm gonna do one more line. I'm telling you guys, I need a sign that says put down the brush. But I just saw a couple errors. You can leave the white errors. It's totally fine. But I'll get there. Okay, the one last for the shading on the houses is to take the roofs and shade the left side. Again, away from where the sun is coming. So I have orange roofs on my white buildings, and I'm making a little bit of a darker area on the left side. So I do just a little darker of the burnt sienna. You could do an orange and mix in a little brown. Whatever you use for your roof color, just darken that a little bit and just put a little blob right there. And then I used brown on my pastel houses, so I'm taking the burnt umber and just putting in a little darker brown on the left side of those four roofs that I have. And then it's just so free. It's just so easy. We're not putting in like gabled roofs and all sorts of shingles and everything. We're just dabbing on a quick little line. I really do love the loose style. I hope you guys too. It's so fun. Okay, and then I'm gonna make the area for windows and doors, and I'm making it a blue. So I used ultramarine blue and a burnt sienna, but much more blue than the brown. So we can have a cool-ish looking doors and windows. And just a hint, I'm just putting some arches here. I'm just putting a couple of windows here. Maybe the ones in the back you can have a little lighter in the back of the hillside. And I'm thinking this blue house is literally the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I don't know what's going on here. I may try to fix it or I may just let it go. Yeah, just couple. You don't need it. You don't need them everywhere. Or just our eye is just scanning across and getting the idea, which I think is awesome. And then in the one in the back, you can make it kind of a little lighter if you want. I'm gonna dab it out with my paper towel I always have a paper towel nearby just for stuff like that. To dab off your brush if it's too wet, and then to dab off some of the color if you've put it on and you need it lighter. Gotta let go of the details. And I'm still doing details, but you guys can let it go. Okay. And just finish up some of the areas. You don't need to cover everywhere. I'm adding water just to some of them and then dabbing some of the color out. 'Cause I feel like they're a little bit too strong. So you can just reactivate the water a little bit. The pastel fronts are dry enough that this is not going to affect the color underneath, so you're fine. And then let's go down with, I have my raw umber and we're just going to make another value of the brown in the rock. In the wall, leave your mediums in there too and leave that white. And we're just making it kind of like more interesting, like a wavy coastline. And then I took a number two brush, so I went down a size and just make the tree trunks in here. If you're making a larger one, you're using a six or an eight, just go down a little. You can use whatever. You can use the point of your brush to get the really sharp lines. This one was so tiny. I just wanted to use a smaller. And then if there's an area where it goes over like a darker green, you can just leave it. You don't have to add a trunk. And then if you guys think that the fronts of the buildings are looking too stark white, you could wash a little bit of like a rosy pink over the top. Um, I didn't do it now. I may decide to do it later. But if you think it's a little bit too bright white, I kind of like it though. What do you guys think? Let's peel it off and see. You guys can peel yours. I want to see yours. But I got this tape at Amazon and it is so fabulous for making the edges and takes all the guesswork out. It makes an exact perfect, I think it's quarter inch and it's amazing. And it helps you tape it down, which we do so it doesn't buckle. Um, what do you guys think? I want to see yours. You can leave me a DM on Instagram. You could give me a comment here. I'd love to see what color houses you chose. Hopefully, this made you think about the Caribbean and the people and send some positive vibes their way. I certainly had fun because we're in a rainy thunderstorm here in Austin, even though we needed it. I love seeing this while I'm sitting here in complete cloudiness. So I had fun, guys. I'll have a couple of other really cool things